Moses split the Red Sea to lead the Israelites to safety. I'm sure many of us have seen it portrayed in movies, like the Ten Commandments or The Prince of Egypt, but today, I want to go beyond Hollywood's version and look at what this story really means. We'll talk about the biblical account, historical background, scientific theories, and why it's still relevant today. So, let's jump right in and see what really happened when Moses parted the Red Sea. To set the scene, let's go back to the Old Testament, specifically the book of Exodus. Moses, chosen by God, had been called to lead the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. After a series of miraculous events and plagues, Pharaoh finally agreed to let the Israelites go, but soon changed his mind and sent his army to chase after them. Imagine the panic among the Israelites, thousands of men, women, and children caught between the Red Sea in front of them and Pharaoh's chariots racing towards them from behind. This is where the famous miracle happens. Moses, following God's instructions, stretches out his hand over the sea, and the water split, creating a dry path for the Israelites to cross. Once they were safely on the other side, Moses lowered his hand, and the sea returned to its normal state, sweeping away Pharaoh's army. If we look at the Bible's specific description in Exodus 14 verses 21 to 31, it's quite detailed. It says that a strong east wind blew all night, pushing the waters back, and that there was a wall of water on both sides of the path. This isn't just any parting of the waters. The Bible portrays it as a miraculous, divine event, where God's power was directly responsible. This miracle wasn't just about saving the Israelites, it was also a demonstration of God's authority and his ability to protect his people. In the story, the Israelites saw this as a sign of God's intervention, which solidified their faith in him and their trust in Moses as their leader. This story is a powerful reminder for believers about God's faithfulness, especially in impossible situations. Look at the historical and cultural context. We know that Egypt was one of the most powerful empires in the ancient world, with a rich culture and strong military presence. The Pharaoh, as their leader, was seen as a god on earth, so letting the Israelites go wasn't just about losing slaves, it was a blow to his pride and authority. For the Israelites, the Red Sea crossing marked the beginning of their journey as a nation. They were no longer slaves but a free people, and this miracle symbolized that transformation. The story spread far and wide, becoming an important part of Israelite culture and identity. The parting of the Red Sea is often treated as a mystery, something so miraculous that many have wondered if there could be a natural explanation. So, let's talk about a few scientific theories. Some researchers suggest that a strong wind, called a wind set-down, might have actually created a temporary dry path by pushing the waters back. In fact, we see similar effects in shallow coastal areas today, especially when powerful winds blow consistently in one direction. However, these theories don't quite account for the dramatic walls of water described in the Bible, nor do they explain the timing perfectly, that the waters closed back just as Pharaoh's army entered. The Bible gives the accurate details as evidence that God used natural forces to create a miraculous event. How do you balance faith and science here? This is one of those moments where faith plays a huge role. Miracles by their nature don't always follow the rules of science, and there often are moments where believers see God's hand at work, no explanations needed. For many, the parting of the Red Sea is a prime example of a miracle that defies logic. It's a fact that has been passed down through generations and is cherished for what it represents rather than for how it happened. On the other hand, there are those who enjoy looking at these events from a scientific perspective, seeking to understand the mechanisms behind them. Whether you lean more towards faith or curiosity, you cannot but view this event as a miracle only, since science couldn't explain these events and its timings. Sometimes, our wonder at these events is the whole point. It's that awe that draws us closer to God, seeking to understand his ways. Isaiah 55 verses 8 to 9 precisely captures the essence. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways and my thoughts than your thoughts, declares the Lord. What does the parting of the Red Sea mean symbolically? It's not just a physical crossing, it's a transition from slavery to freedom, from despair to hope. For believers, it's a powerful reminder of how God can open a path where there seems to be none. The Red Sea crossing also symbolizes trust. The Israelites had to trust God and follow Moses into the unknown. When you think about it, crossing a sea with walls of water on both sides would have been terrifying. But they had faith that God would keep them safe. This moment is central in the Bible's theme of God's saving grace and the call to trust Him in uncertain times. What lessons can we take from this story today? There are a few, and they're surprisingly relevant. Number 1. Faith in uncertain times. Just like the Israelites faced the Red Sea with fear and uncertainty, we also encounter situations that seem impossible. Whether it's a major life decision, a personal struggle, or something beyond our control, this story teaches us to have faith and trust that there is a way forward. Number 2. Divine intervention. Sometimes, we might feel trapped or helpless, but God can create a way out of difficult situations in ways we might not expect. The parting of the Red Sea reminds us that there is hope, even in what seem like hopeless situations. Number 3. Unity and leadership. The Israelites had to work together and follow Moses' lead, even if they had doubts. This story can inspire us to come together as communities or families and trust the leaders and guidance we have. So, why does this story still matter today? The Red Sea story can resonate with anyone who has faced a difficult decision or felt overwhelmed. It's more than just an ancient miracle, it's a symbol of overcoming obstacles with faith and courage. You can still look to this story as a source of hope and encouragement. We can all relate to that feeling of being stuck, needing a breakthrough. And whether or not you believe that Moses literally parted the sea, the message still holds. Sometimes, when we're in a tight spot, we need to have faith, step forward, and trust that the waters will part. You will witness God's hand moving forward, paving the way to a life-changing miracle. The parting of the Red Sea is one of those stories that reminds us of the power of faith, the mystery of miracles, and the ways God can work in our lives. Whether we see it as a literal event, a symbolic story, or both, it's a moment that has inspired countless generations. It's a reminder that when we face our own Red Sea moments, we can find courage to trust and move forward. If you enjoyed this exploration, be sure to subscribe and check out more videos where we dig into the deeper meanings of these biblical stories. Until next time, keep the faith, and remember, sometimes, the path forward isn't something we can see until we take the first step.